is really dark. So you let me know if it looks ugly, and we'll try to tune it for your monitor as much as I can. Yes, we do. You're absolutely right, Teresa. We really see the dust lanes. Now, here's the thing. Now we can go with the sharpness. I can increase that sharpness under the video tab to 7. And then we'll be able to bring out dust lanes a little bit more, a little sharper. Now you're going to see different layers of the dust lanes. The sharpness plays a major role. The default F2, if you put them at 0, if you put the sharpness at 0, look at the stars. They're beautiful now. Everything is smooth like photographic, but you're lacking definition. So increase that sharpness a little bit. You're going to bring those molten core. You're going to bring the difference in the dust lanes, the amount of detail in the dust lanes right out. So I got the sharpness at 5 right now. Yes, deafness. This is what it brings. And if you go to the APC now, look out. Just like you said earlier, when we said earlier about APC, let's pump that up to 5. It's at 0 now. With the APC set at 5, look at the amount of detail that we're seeing. Now look at the stars. We are getting a little bit of rig around the stars. That is because of the APC set too high. Well, not really too high. It's doing its job. Its job is to bring a sharpness algorithm and to offer the sharper image as possible. The beauty of it is you get to adjust the horizontal and vertical pixels, because the pixel is made of rectangular. It's not perfectly square because it's an interline sensor. All of them, most of them, do have a rectangular sensor. Now, because of that, there's an algorithm that kicks in that prevents the star from blooming. Blooming gives you vertical streaks on bright stars. So what it does, it envelopes the stars, and you got this black ring around it. Well, how to cure that is quite easy. Now we got the image pretty good, and we've got the blue skies more or less gone. So if we turn up the brightness a bit, now you get to see the blackness around the stars. Well, because that black is perfect black, all you need to do is bring the brightness down to the same color as the blackness of the stars. So the background is adjusted by using the brightness of your video tab, and you make it this darkness the same basic color as the black rings around the stars, and you're going to null out the black rings around the stars. There you go. Now we get to see a lot of details in M51. We see some pretty good dust lanes in there, different layers of it, and it's quite interesting to look at. Okay, Bobby, have a good night. So this is the kind of work that we could do. We're going to go to another target, and for that, I'm going to stop the exposure, and then you're going to say, okay, hang on. Because I switched down to 2 seconds, let's bring the brightness up. I could still see those two cores of the galaxy right now, and that's going to allow me to go and look for the target I want to go at. So we're going to change target. Watch this. I'll be right back. Hang on. focus. I forgot to lock my focuser. Oh my God. Okay, hang on. We didn't lock our focuser, so now it's pointing up. Hang on a sec. Just 2 seconds. Hang on a sec, folks. I gotta fix this. There you go. Gotta love this. What happened when you forget to tighten your lock your focuser in place? That's neat. This is M27 at 2 seconds. And of course, I forgot to lock my focuser earlier on, so I apologize for that. The camera nearly popped right out, and whatever. Okay, let's center the target. Hang on a sec. That is very nice. 2 second exposure. See the difference it makes from an object that's slow to the horizon? You need to go through a lot more air to see it, like on M51. And look at M27, 2 seconds. And look at the beautiful object we're looking at the moment. And because of that, we're only going to need about 10 seconds, I bet you. I'm going to pump that up to 10. Right now, it's 2 second exposure. I haven't touched any of the adjustment I've done on M51 other than the exposure. We were 20 seconds on M51 because it was so low to the horizon. Right now, this is going to be 10 seconds. This is a 10-second exposure. Look at the lobes you get to see. The other night, we were using the CMOS camera at 30 seconds plus. Okay, let's increase the saturation to get a little bit more color in there. All right, here we go. Wow, this thing is pretty bright. Let's bring down the background a bit. This camera is very sensitive. It's extremely sensitive. Okay, I'm not 100% focused, folks, so you're going to have to bear with me for a moment. Let me adjust the APC. We're going to get some nice round stars, or smoother stars anyways. And we certainly can lower the brightness a little bit to get a much better background like that, I guess. There's a lot of stars in there. There's no question about it. Yeah, actually, the faint stars in the backgrounds do pop out. The quality of the stars won't be quite as good as a Skyraider, for an example. But if you're after sensitivity and doing a live observation, that doesn't matter at all. You're not doing imaging, you're doing live observation. The reason for that is the sensor has rectangular shape instead of being perfectly square, like a CMOS sensor, for an example. Or just like the Skyraider series of cameras, or even the Universe, it has perfectly square pixels. Now these guys are super sensitive because you've got greater area you've got a greater surface on each pixel. Being rectangular, you're gaining that much more sensitivity to each pixels. And this is an interline. It's not a progressive sensor. Huge difference. You're going to get a lot more sensitivity out of an interline sensor than progressive, and a lot less noise. No noise reduction is needed in those images. Let me do a little bit of adjustments on the sharpness. We're going to bring back down that sharpness to a level where the stars are acceptable. Here we go. And we can certainly turn up the saturation, which I'm doing right now, to about 38. To bring the colors. See the green, reds, they're finally there. And a 10-second exposure. No, I don't use the HER too much, Teresa. The HER is amp-glow reduction. You don't get much of it right now because you keep, if the camera is properly adjusted, and what I mean by that, you've got the APC. The AGC is turned off completely right now. So it will not produce significant amp glow. And especially your video tab, the brightness and the contrast, if you take the time to adjust the camera really, really good, you will not need that AGR at the back, and so is other features of the camera. You just got to concentrate on the one thing, your exposure. You got to concentrate on the brightness and contrast of the frame grabber, which is post-processing. Now, instead of 20 seconds like we had it on M51, this is 10-second exposure. The object is higher, so we have to go through less atmosphere, a lot less air to see the target. M51 was getting pretty low, 20 degrees or less. Then any camera is going to give you limitation because you're going through a lot more air to capture that target. Just the kind of result that you can get. I could actually see very well the lobes, the upper lobe and the lower lobe. I don't know if you guys see it, but I see it. Now, what happened if we bump up the exposure? Yeah, let's try that. So right now we're at 10-second exposure. Our next count's going to be 15-second exposure. Or how about if we put it 20, like we had it for M51? So let's go back to the M51 settings that we had, which pretty well intact the way it is now. What we're going to do is go 20 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So let's go to the 20 seconds like we had on M51, and let's see the difference it's going to make. Do we really need it? That's what, wow, look at that. Now we're talking. The colors are vivid. The red is coming out, the green's coming out, stars, even more stars are in there. Yes, the stars are not quite as nice, but this is live. If you want to go deep with very short exposure, it's the way to go. Overall image is very, very nice. This is just an 8-inch telescope. That way no one can say, oh, he's using a 16-inch telescope. No, I'm using an 8-inch. The day I'll use a 16-inch, you'll know. now we're 20-second exposure. It's all what we need. We don't need much at all. If we would have the black and white version of this, it'd be even better than that. As far as black and white, it would be in black and white. Still, the color gives us some very good. It still gives us some good color out of M27. Hey, the way I look at it is this: it beats an eyepiece. No matter what aperture scope you're going to see, you'll never see colors in M27. You'll never see the lobes in M27. You'll never see those faint stars in there. Yes, I am slightly out of focus, Simon, because earlier when I swung onto that object, the camera came out. Not the camera, but the focuser came out. I forgot to lock it. So, with that being said, let's go to 2-second exposure. And what I'm doing is, I've got the zoom on at 8. And what we're going to do is work on our focus. So I'm going to go on the other side, grab the scope, and try to adjust this. Hang on. Bear with me for a moment. I did not do a proper focus adjustment, so we'll do it now. By using the zoom, you amplify the stars. You're going to make them look really ugly. Makes it easier to focus. So what you want to do is make them as small as possible on the brighter ones. Not pretty, just get them as small as you can. And once you've achieved that, you know you've got your focus pretty close. Then you back off from the zoom feature of the camera, and there you go. Let me lock this up here. Walk on the other side. Okay, watch this. That's right. Good point there, Dr. Simon Iver. Thank you for pointing this out. I'm not a picky guy when it comes to that, but nonetheless, you have a very good eye for observation. I know that already. Let's back off, and because of that, we'll be able to bring back down the exposure maybe to 15 seconds instead of 20. The reason is, the sharper the focus is, the better your focus is, the less exposure it's going to require. It's imperative to have the focus dead on. So thank you, Simon, for reminding me of that. Here's a 15-second exposure, and the stars are much, much better. There you go. Better focus. Thank you, Simon. Ah, that's the way to go. Now, the angle is very minimal, and that's because everything is well adjusted, and long exposure is not needed. There's some people out there that uses their camera and it says, man, I got a lot of angle. What's going on? And first of all, the F ratio is really important. Use the MFR5. It was designed for video cameras. That's why it's expensive. It takes money to invest in lenses, the holders, and do the proper research to come up with the MFR5 too. And this is what we use. That's what it's for. It's made for this camera. Number 2 is the aperture, the scope will always going to help in some way, but it's going to help more into field of view, not image brightness. So with an 8-inch used with an MFR5, we're getting a decent field of view that's quite acceptable. In fact, I'd say it's even better than the other chips that I used the other night, the other cameras. Reason is, the object itself in question, we're talking about this M27 here, it's closer to us right now. It's more magnified. We get to look at more object, more detail in the object. That's what I meant to say. And it makes it a nicer field of view. So going for bigger chip is not always what you want, depending the type of imaging or live observation you're going to do. But for most deep sky object, I think a 1/2-inch chip does the job very, very well. Oh, Glenn, it does matter. If you have a 5-year-old one will work just as good, not a problem. Probably a bit more reflectivity within the lens, but we could fix that. Next time you stop at the shop, bring it in. I've got something for you for that. I've got the cure for that. And we'll take care of that for sure. But this is only 15-second exposure, folks. It's unbelievable. You will never, ever get this type of image brightness and sensitivity with a progressive scan sensor. Whether it's a CCD or a CMOS, you'll never, ever get this sensitivity. These are scientific grade sensors in Xterminator. They cost expensive for one reason, and well, for several reasons. How it's made, how we make them at the shop. In fact, I had a visitor last weekend from the United States that took a plane and came to the shop to visit the shop. He had to see it for himself, what we do. And I tell you, he walked out of there with a big smile, and he was happy to see how we do things in the shop. A lot of guys come at the shop and see how we do things, and anybody is more than welcome to come to the shop and see how it's done. We're very transparent about this, compared to some other list that mentions that we don't do anything, or some fraudulent emails going around that we don't do anything at the shop. Well, these guys are liars, and they don't know what they're talking about. It's plain and simple. The shop is located in Ottawa on Canatech Road, 5450 Canatech Road, Unit 56. You could go there anytime during business hour, and you could come in there, and then we'll give you a tour of the place. It's small now. It used to be big, and we'll show you how it's done, how the pelty coolers, how the cold figures are installed, how everything is done. It's packed with stuff, and everybody comes in, they just love it. And that's the result you get. I mean, every cameras that we make, everything is done handmade, one at a time. And this is the result that you get. Now, it is heaven. For me, it is, Connie. Every morning that I go there, it's heaven for me. Looking at the image here now, I really like what we're seeing for the colors, but I like the lobes. The upper and lower lobes are quite visible against the background. And what I'm about to do is to lower the brightness of the background a bit. By lowering the, look at that, wow. Oof, this is nice. Lowering the brightness a little bit will bring us to the next level. There. Here on my monitor, that looks nearly like a picture. I love it. Yes, absolutely, Jack. You're totally right. So now, all I've done is lower the brightness. That's it. Didn't touch anything else on the camera. Once the camera's set up, folks, you press save. All the parameters are built inside the camera. You don't need a software for that. And once it's done, you leave it the way it is. The only other thing you'll need to touch up, if you use a computer, that is the frame grabber, the MCV1 frame grabber. Uh-oh. Oh, crap. Here we go. Hang on. There goes my mouth. Hang on, folks. Did I ever mention how much I dislike EQ mounts? So we got to do a meridian flip. So I think the mount went out of line, but hang on, folks. I got to do a whole flip with the mount and retrieve the object. Man, that was a nice one. Hang on a sec. I'll be right back. How much damage was